In 2019, there were approximately 440 juveniles in the database. There are now approximately 160 juveniles, a 64% drop. There are just over 500 gangs and crews represented in the database. It is true that 99% of the individuals in the database are people of color. It is also true that in New York City, from 2019 to 2024, 96% of the individuals arrested for shootings and 96% of shooting victims were people of color. Our detectives work tirelessly to investigate these shootings and seek justice for the victims and their families. More broadly, the department devotes tremendous resources to prevent additional shootings and save lives. As part of this effort, the database provides crucial intelligence to NYPD investigators. It contains criminal group names, membership, associated incidents, geographic data, and intergroup rivalries and relationships. By consolidating this information, investigators and executives can identify trends and patterns involving gang activity. This information helps the department interrupt cycles of violence and prevent acts of violent retaliation. In particular, when an individual is shot or killed, the database allows us to immediately identify whether that person is part of a gang. That raises the possibility that the shooting is gang motivated. This intelligence assists the investigators working to solve the crime.
I mean, you guys have made it very clear that you guys don't like my bill, unfortunately. But there was something that you even said in your testimony, and even the public advocate just mentioned it, because you said 96% of the individuals arrested for shooting were African American, which is why it's reflective of the database, which is why the data is more looking at African Americans specifically in the database. That's why, because that's where all the shootings are happening, correct?
No, actually I said it's people of color, it's not just African
All
Americans.
right, but mostly, because we know that the numbers are even skewed there, but mostly, correct? And African Americans, people of color, but it's mostly black and brown, correct?
In the database?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
And most of the people are doing, those individuals you're saying are doing the shootings, correct? Because you said 96%.
Two separate things. I gave the data about the racial demographics in the database. Separately, I gave data about the racial breakdown of people arrested for shootings and shooting victims in New York City over the last several years.
But you said it was like 96% because it's here.
Yes, no,
okay,
I did say that. 100%.
So then my question is, how is this working? Because that to me shows that if you're saying you are profiling these people because it's racial profiling, and then still those same people are still doing the shootings, how is this working?
Councilmember, first of all, it is not racial profiling, and that is very unfair. The data I gave you is about individuals arrested for shootings and shooting victims. There is nothing racial profiling about that.
No, I'm asking.
It's not.
No, listen to me. I'm not talking about the shootings. I'm asking you, the folks that you're observing, if the people that you're watching and have on the database are still, you're saying, are mostly people of color, and all this is happening, how is this working? Can you give me data on how many shootings this has stopped in those communities?
So we're going to give examples of situations in which the criminal group database.
No, I want numbers. I want the numbers around what percentages of shootings that this has stopped. Because my issue is around, if we are saying that this is about making things safer and you're using it for ComStat and all these things, how is it making it safer if these shootings are still happening? And like, how?
Okay. First of all, I would love to stop every shooting in New York City, but we know that's impossible.
Well, that's going to be our goal. Let's work together on doing that.
I would love to. I would love to. So you're talking about, give me an example. So let's take, again, we'll go back to Brooklyn, right?
I don't care about Brooklyn. I'm in the Bronx. Go to the Bronx.
I'm going to go.
No, go to the Bronx.
We'll go to the Bronx.
Because I'm not in Brooklyn.
Okay, so we'll go to the Bronx. I'll give you an example of the Bronx. Then I'll go.
And you guys know I have time. So while you're
I'll go
going
to Southeast Queens. We'll go.
All right, get to the story, please, because I don't want you to eat my time, because I actually have some more questions.
So I'm going to give you an example of the criminal group database and basically how it works.
But could you give
So
an example?
I am giving you an example.
Yes, please.
19 incidents of violence in the 4-0 precinct connected to multiple crews. One of the crews, which I will not name, has documented 45 members in the criminal group database. 19 acts of violence, that's either shootings, people shot, shots fired, or gun arrest in a 2-month frame, right? We noticed younger individuals that were tied to older individuals that were. I'm giving you an example how
I'm
we
going to
use
stop you
criminal-
because I didn't ask for that. I asked for the numbers and the data. I didn't ask for a story or anecdote, because if we are saying it, I'm asking you, how is this with the data that you have, because this is about data and making sure we're using percentages and things like that. So how is this data stopping crime? What is the percentage of crimes that this database has stopped?
But Councilmember Stevens, you know that it's not possible.
Exactly.
No, hold
So
on,
let's
wait,
stop
hold on,
there.
hold on.
Hold on.
No,
You're
because I
asking
have
for
another
data
question.
You're asking for data about a negative. You're asking for data
All right.
of shootings that didn't
So
happen.
just say you don't have it.
No, because that's not the case.
Because you say
it's that you're asking for data that you know could not possibly be generated. You're talking about interventions that will prevent shootings, that do prevent shootings. But literally, it is not possible to track shootings that didn't happen.
Could I just
and you know
interject
that.
there, because it's not even, because there's no interventions that's being done. Because it's one thing if you were saying that you were using this data, working with DYCD and all these people, because you also said you're not sharing this information. There's no interventions being done to stop anything. So no, because that's true. Because I asked you that offline. You're not doing interventions. And so if there's a difference, if it's like we're using this information to actually bring resources to those communities, meet with those individuals and find the things that those families need, that is very different. There's no interventions. And let's also be clear, when you're saying resources, you're saying cops. That is not going to get us out of the situation we're in. I don't want to stay there because I have some other questions. So have you ever heard of the Ghost Shadows? Have you ever heard of the Ghost Shadows? Because that's a well-known Chinese American gang that's in New York City. Are they part of the gang database? Because I know you have 500 and 60-something crews in there.
500.
Have you heard of the 5 families? Are they part of the database?
Councilmember, as you know, there is a separate database.
No.
No, hold on. I'm answering your question. There is an organized crime database.
But this is not organized crime.
The ones the 5 families.
No,
that is organized crime.
Ghost Shadows, that's not organized crime. That is a New York-based gang that is in Chinatown. Are they in the database?
Councilmember, there is
they
a
are
group database. There is also an FBI database, which our TFOs are able to, working with the FBI, and draw on that.
I'm asking you about a New York-based Chinese gang that's in New York. Because in your database, there are only, what I think I have the numbers. What is it? There's only like 70 of them. So is that the gang that's in there? Because I'm asking you a real question. Because again, I am saying, and why I get so upset and passionate, because you guys are willing to go so hard around something that I do not feel like is moving the needle. But it would move the needle in changing your relationship with my community. It's not. And I think that when you're in other communities, you're able to not have databases because crime is going on in other communities. And so how are you solving those crimes? Those crimes are happening, but you don't have to have a database to say like, oh, let me go in here and see if they're in here. No, you're solving those crimes. So even if you don't believe that you could do the work, I know you could do the work.
Councilmember?
And it would fix the relationship, I promise you.
2 points in response to your questions and your statements. First, do we share information about membership in the criminal group database with other city agencies? We don't, and you know why we don't. Because if we did, the city council would be outraged, and you would be upset with us, and you would say that it is stigmatizing. So to suggest that we should be sharing.
No, I want to be clear.
Wait, hold
I didn't
on.
suggest it. No, because I didn't suggest it. I said there's no intervention. So you're collecting the information because here's the thing. This is not stopping anything. Because if we were getting these young people off the street and putting resources there, that's how we stop the crime.
I want to give an example, Chief LePage, give an example of where we save lives by intervening.
These are
These are lives saved.
I'm going to give you an example. On January 13th, members of the NYPD were deployed in a specific area, precinct, in northern Manhattan, the 3-0 precinct, in regards to an uptick of crew violence. With that deployment, built on intelligence from the criminal group database, officers are deployed. Officers were able to effect the arrest of 8 individuals with 5 firearms. 2 of those individuals arrested with the 5 firearms. One of them was an identified crew member from a housing development in the 2-4 precincts. Another individual, identified crew member in the criminal group database, crew member in the 2A precinct in a housing development. That one of those guns was previously fired just a day prior in the 3-2 precinct. So what does that tell senior leaders of the NYPD. It tells us where to deploy. Hence, we
So
deploy.
you're saying that
Wait,
that,
let him
no,
finish.
No, I'm
Please.
asking a
Please let
question.
him
I'm
finish.
asking a point
Please
of
let him
clarity.
finish.
I'm not.
No,
am I
and,
finished?
no, I'm asking
Okay,
because you
let-
said that the. Let me finish because I'm asking the questions. Don't do that. I'm asking a question because I'm gonna forget. So you're saying that they were deployed specifically in that area because of the gang database?
Absolutely. Part of it. Absolutely.
Part of it, or is that the reason why?
Part of the reason.
Exactly.
You
You have other means to get to those places. You know where the violence is. You know where they are. And that's all I'm saying. That is one piece that is not necessary. So please do not sit here and make it seem like if this is not here, the sky is falling. Because guess what? Like you said, there is other parts of it and intelligence that you are using because you know where the crime is happening. You know, you do.
You're missing the point again. You're not listening to my answer. My answer is that 2 of the individuals were documented crew members in 2 different precincts that we would have not known to deploy there. And if you let me finish my statement, I'll continue giving you more examples. So what does that tell us? That tells us where to deploy and what crews are beefing. Then what do? Then we continue to analyze the intelligence, like the 5 guns that we were able to recover because of our deployment. What do those 5 guns tell us? They were fired 4 different times in different locations in New York City. So now we can start connecting. That gun belongs to this crew, that gun belongs to that crew. So then now there's 4 more commands that we deploy to. Fact, the 2-8, the 2-4, the 3-2, and another command in Manhattan North. I'm sorry, the 3-0. So 4 commands. Since we moved deployment, since January 13th, 1 shooting. 1 shooting in those 4 commands. 1. That is because of intelligence precision. So a part of it, the Nibin hits on the guns, a part of it. Who we're arresting is part of it. The crew alliances are part of it. The crew identifications are part of it. Moving officers real time.
Person was
not
detected.
waiting. And that's how we save lives. Part of it is using the criminal group database.
Part of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
Everything's
saying.
a part.
You guys have
At
a
least-
lot of other tools that could be used. And that's what I'm saying. We're saying the same thing. I know you have other tools. And I know that you use other investigatory ways. Obviously, if there's a shooting. But what I'm saying is there are other tools that you should be using, especially when this is... it's clear evidence that this is racial profiling when 99%...
This is not
racial
this is
profiling.
Precision. This is precision.
We can't just change
And
language.
we're able to give you data because of the database. That's how you get your data. If we didn't have a database, you wouldn't be able to get data. But we do
Councilmember,
have a database, and we can give you data.
With your permission, I'll just go, and just because I think it's worth telling, just go into the culture of gang shootings, right? We know they're contagious in nature, and they rarely stop at one. They become contagious, and we need to stop that shooting cycle. How do we do it with rapid deployment? Now, what a gang shooting does, it creates an on-site environment. Now, what is that? When you have a gang shooting, you have both teams now that